I feel like I can talk about this book for 8 hours.
It says you can broadcast for up to 8 hours. That would be a very long book discussion.
It would be.
Unless you're talking about like the Lord of the Rings trilogy and doing out, a couple hours each book or something. I don't know. I believe we are officially live.
Yay!
This one person is watching. I don't know if it works. Now,
hello, one person watching. Who's watching?
Now it says 2 people are watching.
Yay! Hello, 2 people that are watching.
I know, I posted little updates on our Twitter. I posted those. I'm retweeting you right now.
Oh, you are?
I just saw that. So the 5-minute warning is now surpassed, but still.
It's now. It's now, right now. We're doing it now.
Now we have 4 people watching.
Hello. Ash Hart's books. Hey!
You want to read the comments?
Yes, I will. I'm gonna butcher your name. I'm so sorry. Maras Stella Paz. Hello. How are you? And then Ash Hart's books. Hello, back to you. How are you? Ash, I know that you have read the book. I'm not sure about the other one. Lady Gizmo, hello. Has everybody read the book?
And the 8-second delay is in full.
And the delay.
The 8-second delay. I think it might be more than 8 seconds, but I know we have a little bit of a delay.
No, there is. It probably is probably like 10 seconds, but.
Before the comments come rolling in. So Nicole posted a very lovely, very cute, made me smile book review of this. So, if you guys posted on Goodreads, you're going to tell me, but she does a little dance.
I'm like, yes. Yeah, it was very, it was like right after I finished the book, so it was very heartfelt, and I just wanted to like punch that one person in the face. Which,
spoiler free for a moment.
I know, just for a second.
Oh yeah, should we introduce ourselves now that we have more than one person watching?
Yes, absolutely. You can go first.
Well, this is my YouTube channel. I'm Angela. I am earning my PhD. I am currently going to American University, and my dissertation is going to be on the stigmatization of the romance genre. So this is a topic really close to my heart. I love reading romance. This is something I am just super passionate about, and this book club is just puts the biggest smile on my face. I love it, and Nicole is my best friend. I love her just so much, and I'm so happy she agreed to do this with me. It's always the highlight. I love it. So much fun.
You're so sweet. I love you so much. Okay, my name is Nicole. My channel is Who Picked This Book. I love romance genre as well, even though I'm not as, I think Angela is the queen, because our first 2 book picks, were amazing. And so she is the queen of the romance genre. Love it. And I love this book club too. I'm so glad that Angela asked me to co-host with her. And I felt really loved. And she is my best friend. I love you so much. And I can't wait.
We share a very similar mentality with our book choices and the shows we watch. I mean, I'm so happy I met you.
I'm so happy because seriously, it's like, sometimes it's scary. It's like we have one brain. We like the same books that we read, and we dislike the same books that we read, and we love the same things. And honestly, it's like she says something, and then I'm like, I was thinking that exact same thing. So you're in here.
I think it makes it really easy to talk about books, though, because we both get excited about the same stuff. And then you also don't have to talk about the things you dislike as much, or you can totally just go off on them. And there's less of kind of that verbal filter almost. I don't know how anybody else feels. Hi, Danielle. I'm sorry you have to go get your bus, but I hope you catch it. I just saw that little comment.
I saw that. Hi, Danielle. Yes, you do not miss your bus, because I don't know how bus schedules are there, but here in Phoenix, they're terrible.
Oh my
Lady Gizmo. Lady Gizmo said, sorry, no, I'm here for moral support. I have studied the cover thoroughly and memorized the details there. So if you talk about the cover, I'm all in. Girl, same.
So speaking of the cover, I don't know if you guys saw this on our Twitter account. So it is technically a stock image, and I found the exact same male model cover in the reverse, so they're mirror images of one another. I posted it on the Twitter account. I thought it was so funny. Yes, the cover is very attractive, but that just made me laugh and smile so hard when I realized it was the exact same cover for White by Aria Cole, I believe. So I posted that over on Twitter if you guys wanted to check it out. So follow us on Twitter because we have fun with the romance novels over in there. I'm always tweeting.
It was seriously like a mirror image. Like, it was so funny. But I've seen that happen a lot where it's like the stock, you know, cover.
I didn't realize until after this book won, and I was reading it, and then I had finished it, and then it was on Goodreads, just because I like to read the reviews after I've read something, because I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to have a biased opinion because I read someone else's comments. And so I realized it is self-published because it said by A.L. Jackson Book Inc. And I'm super, super impressed that this was a self-published book. And I don't mean that as a dig at self-published, but I mean, this was very, very well done.
I agree. I didn't even know it was self-published. That's awesome. New things I'm learning.
She's not, I mean, she is traditionally published for other stories. And so I think I just kind of assumed that this was a traditionally published book. I never looked into the publisher because I just assumed naturally A.L. Jackson, she's very well known in the romance and, you know, everywhere else too, kind of within the publishing industry. I never thought it was a self-published book. So I'm very impressed with the book itself. And I mean, I don't know how much you want to get into spoilers right away, but I thought the writing was super well done. And I thought it was unique the way she would break up with her lines and stuff. It wasn't paragraphs. It was just, she'd have one word as one line and then go down and have another sentence. The writing was just totally different from things that I was used to.
Yeah, I totally agree. The writing style was actually, but it like how you said, how she kind of like breaks things. It wasn't difficult to follow and it didn't feel unnatural. So I really liked that about it as well. Ash Hart's book says, I feel like I see the same picture so often, but still beautiful. She's talking about the cover. And yeah, absolutely. Hello. Typically I don't like people on my covers, but you know, this one's fine.
Well, in the romance industry, I think you're kind of guaranteed to have people on the cover almost.
Yeah.
You're not a guarantee, but this is something I was actually looking into, but you're going to probably have a model, even if it's a guy or a girl or both of them. It's just something that seems to be a natural occurrence. I mean, this is part of the whole marketing with romance, where if you see a Harlequin book cover, you know exactly what you're buying, you know exactly what it is. And part of that's brilliant. Part of it is probably part of, you know, the stigma a little bit, but you know what you're buying.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Maras just said, I haven't read the book, but I'm also the type who loves spoilers. Okay, great, because we are going to be spoiling the heck out of this, talking about it. So if you don't mind spoilers, definitely hang out. Love to have you here.
We are talking about spoilers.
We're talking about some spoilers.
We're going to get into this story. So, I mean, if you don't mind spoilers, I am so happy you were here for this romance fangirl event.
Back to my dancing, because yes, I loved it.
You, I think, really love the book. I really enjoyed it. I would give it 4, 4.5. You were like 5 stars right off the bat. You really were just gun-ho, loved it.
I did. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I think I ended up giving Archer's Voice 5 out of 5 stars too. And while it probably isn't as, I didn't like it as much as Archer's Voice, because I feel like Archer's Voice was just so completely different from other romance that I have read that it just transcended, but still a 5-star read definitely for this book, because it was just, I felt all the feels, relatable characters, cute little Frankie. She's so cute. Yeah, definitely 5 stars.
I mean, it was so funny to read your review. And I mean, again, I know we have very similar tastes. And so, yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed this book. I totally agree with you. Again, similar taste. Archer's Voice was probably one of my favorite books thus far that I've read this year. I really loved that book. I loved how he was just this unique character, and he's my new book boyfriend. I'm gonna be honest, Rex is not my book boyfriend. Archer is my, book husband. I love him. I just loved him. Archer was my guy, and so I didn't have that same connection with Rex. That's probably why I didn't rate this, or you would ask highly. But again, I still enjoyed it. I'm not saying it's a bad book. I'm just saying Archer was my guy. Rex was. It took me a little bit longer to kind of I don't want to say like him, because I did like him right off the bat, because you could understand he was traumatized, he had things in his past. I got that right off the bat. That wasn't an issue for me. But again, he was so standoffish. When she knocked on the door and she wanted to be friends with him, and he goes, I have enough friends, and he just closed the door. I mean, that was cold.
I know. Archer kind of set the bar pretty high, but
I mean, so this is mini spoiler kind of. I mean, we'll get into more spoilers, but I really loved how the gender roles were kind of reversed in this a little bit. I mean, yes, he was a great dad and stuff, and we do have, you know, the typical hero elements, but she had to chase him.
yeah. Yeah.
She was the one who kept knocking on his door. She was the one who had to initiate the conversations. It was kind of interesting to see more of a passive hero in that way. I'm not used to that, and I've read hundreds of these books. It was very different to me. I don't know if you thought about that as well. I mean, how did you find the gender roles, or how she pursued him, or how did you guys view that? I want to know. You got to tell me.
I completely agree with you, because and like she didn't quit either. She was just like, no, my grandma always told me, there's something else going on, dig beneath the surface. So, there's something going on here. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. And she did. She pursued him, and good on you, because now look at her happily ever after.
Oh, I just got Ash Hart's books. I love the way she wrote Frankie. I love kids and babies in books, but sometimes their dialogue can sound a little weird. I completely agree with that. Frankie totally sounded like a real kid. Yes, yes, and yes. I know you loved her.
I love Frankie so much. And for part of this book, I actually listened to the audiobook, and the narrator for the audiobook did Frankie so well. Like, obviously, you have a sound in your head about what, dialogue sounds like as you're reading it, especially with her cute little lisp. I loved it so much. And the narrator just portrayed that so well, and I loved it. So I love Frankie. She was just the perfect little girl, and with her pink tutu, oh, it was just so cute.
The biggest kick out of her, because sometimes in romance novels, the children, I don't mean this in a bad way. Sometimes they become plot devices, or again with the dialogue, they either sound way too intelligent for their age, or they sound way too underachiever type for their age. It's really hard to capture that childlike voice because you're not a child. And so this is something I think you see in the young adult genre as well, when you have the adult mentality of, having gone through higher education and stuff, and you're writing for a different age group, and it just, you can't capture it. Did not see that at all in this book. I thought the way she spoke was indicative of someone who was 3 or 4 years old. I mean, she was so cute, and she was a little tiny dancer, and she was wearing her swimming suit with a tutu. And my favorite line, when she says, "I want to be Wonder Woman," I was so excited. I tweeted that instantly. I was so excited when I read that line. I love that. And you're nodding, obviously.
Me too. Yeah, definitely. I loved it. I was like, yeah, she does want to be Wonder Woman. You are Wonder Woman. She's so cute. Ash Hart's books, it for sure took me a few chapters to warm up to Rex. He was a complete jerk at first. I was totally rooting for Rynna the whole time. Like, you go, girl. I don't know if I could do that. LOL. I'm same. Like, you can only shut me down so often. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna take the hint and run away now. But so
yeah, so this was something, again, I went to Goodreads after I read the book, and this was when people had their spoiler-filled reviews, and there were very few 1- and 2-star reviews, but they were there, and I was curious what people's criticisms were. And a few of them said she was passive and she was weak, and I'm reading that going, okay, I mean, I can understand she took a few hits, you might view that as a doormat, but she kept getting up and going back. So in regards to being quote-unquote weak, I didn't really see her that way, because she kept getting back up and going after him. I would have given up way before she did. Just
absolutely.
I mean, after one slam door in the face, I would have been gone. I mean, I don't care how attractive you are. I mean, if you have to close the door in someone's face, that is really rude. I mean, he was rude to her when he walked away when they first met, and then afterwards when she went to introduce herself, and then she baked him a pie, and he was still kind of a mean jerk to her. I mean, this woman, she kept going back. I mean, honestly, at one point, I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Totally. I could see why, maybe they thought she was weak because, she ran away from the town, after everything that happened. And I'm just like, she's an 18-year-old girl, you know, kids can be mean, but she stayed away, you know, she stayed away for, I think, what was it, 11 years or something. And the only reason why she came back was because her grandma died. And so I guess that can be construed as weak, but honestly, when people are just like, when you finally found out what happened, I was devastated for her. I was like, oh my gosh, if I felt like I wanted to punch him in the face for doing that to her and her stupid friend, quote unquote. But, you know, we're going to jump in and get some spoilers and, you know, all that stuff. But yeah, I just thought, I don't know, being put in that situation, I would run like hell too. You know, I'm like, I'm out of here. Like, I can't stand to see these two people.
So, I mean, do you guys want us to jump right into the incident? I mean, that was something, I mean, it was traumatizing and it was awful. So I don't blame her for wanting to stay away because A, those people were still living in the town, and B, she viewed that town in a negative light because of the trauma. So basically, she was picked on her entire life. Again, spoiler, she was picked on. She had one friend who was kind of mean to her, but again, she didn't have anyone else except for this one person. So
Yeah.
the friend should be in quotation marks almost. And so she finds out this friend is stealing from her grandmother. And so rather than tell the grandmother or even confront the friend, she tells the woman's mother, thinking, oh, the mother will be able to offer her guidance, help her in a way I can't. And so the girl then decides she wants revenge. And so she sets a guy after, his name's Aaron. She's Aaron. I can't talk. She sets him after Rynna. This is how we're saying her name, Rynna, right? Yeah. So he's.
I think it's pronounced Rynna, but yeah, go ahead. I knew who you talk about.
Anyway, I didn't want to mispronounce it because I didn't have the audiobook, and I've never really encountered this name before. So she sets this guy up after her, and so she's had a crush on him forever. And so after 3 weeks, he takes her to the shed. You know, I'm not unconvinced here. I'm just going to throw in my little tidbit. I'm not unconvinced this wasn't rape because she was hesitant. She didn't say yes. Honestly, with that new yes is yes, that law that just passed, kind of, do you think this was a little bit of a rape situation? Throwing that out there. We'll talk about that. So they have sex. I mean,
I agree. Total rapey vibes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So after this happens, he takes her clothes. He runs out of the shed with them, leaving her there after this incident. And then there's 8 people there pointing and laughing. And that friend says, did you really think I was going to let you get away with this? This is your payback. You deserve this. Did you ever think he really liked you? And after that, she just up and leaves because she doesn't have any connections aside from her grandmother. So again, I get it. I mean, it's not like she had friends or another family member or something. It was just her grandmother. And at that point, she wanted out. So I don't view her as weak, but that was what changed her life. And I understand that. But
I completely understand that too. And that is just a traumatic situation. And honestly, at 18 years old, even as an adult, I wouldn't even know how to handle that. I mean, how can someone be so cruel as to do that to another human being? And honestly, what else can you do? I was rooting for her. I was just like, girl, get out of here. You know, you don't need to, you know, be submitted to that kind of, you know, torment every day. And I really had hoped that she would at least confide in her grandma, but she didn't. And that kind of, you know, was sad how she just left and she didn't know, you know, even though when she was gone, she did still have a relationship with her grandma because they talked, you know, they obviously called on the phone and talked, but there's still that, you know, and we eventually did find out that she knew that something was, you know, wrong, but yeah, it was really sad.
This is where I think I kind of also view it as rape because A, she doesn't say yes. That she never says yes. She's standoffish. She tries to close her legs. She tries to kind of get off of him. And that whole fight, flight, or freeze, she froze. That's what happened in my eyes. So I still think it was rape. And I think that's part of, you know, the trauma and feeling ashamed, not wanting to tell someone. And so I kind of view it in that way of if she is a rape victim, that would contribute to that mentality of not wanting to talk about it. So that's why I'm really holding on to that. I view it in that way. I don't know how everyone else feels about that. I mean, the after effects, terrible, but I think the event itself also has trauma embedded in it. I mean,
absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of like, as I was reading the scene, you know, she kind of just shut her eyes and like endured it, you know, it was just like, and like you said, she froze and I'm just like, no, I mean, it was so rape. It was just gut wrenching to read and just, I knew, oh gosh, I knew something was, obviously you knew something was wrong because the whole book you're reading and you're reading up to it and I'm just like, oh, you poor thing. I felt so terrible for her.
I mean, my only real issue with leading up to, storyline wise, is the fact that this quote unquote friend says, I'm going to get back at you. She threatens her. And then the guy she's been crushing after, very quickly then comes up to her saying, oh, I want to. And here's the thing. There's apparently like 10 people in this town. There's no way to know that the quote unquote friend was friends with this guy or they were along or getting along or whatever. And so the fact that this was kind of their relationship or something, I don't know. I feel like she should have been a little bit more aware or guarded or curious as to why he was going out there. I mean, I totally get she probably felt, hey, someone's giving me attention. This is great. I love it. I get that she probably wanted to latch on to that emotion. But at the same time, this girl just said, I'm going to get back at you. And this guy she's probably friends with goes after her. I kind of was a little curious about that puzzle piece because that seemed to be missing to me. I don't know how
I totally agree with you. I would feel like after you just lost your one friend because you kind of blabbed her secret and she very vocally says, I'm going to get you back. And then you have, I honestly, it's a mystery to me too. Because honestly, yeah, the town is small. And obviously when she comes back, it has grown since then. But I think back, when she was there as a teenager, it was a kind of a relatively small town, so you feel like you would know if your friend was friends with someone else, the person you happen to really like, and now all of a sudden they have an interest in you after, she said, I'm going to get you back.
I'm kind of, thank you for validating my little kind of question mark there. I just thought it was almost as if you have that perfect pitch or something and you're going to hit it and it doesn't quite hit on the bat right. I don't know. The event was traumatic. I completely understand why she would leave after that event. But again, I kind of understand wanting to grasp on to feeling included or wanted. I get that desire, but at the same time, the events leading up to him asking her out were very quickly, in regards to the narrative of her past, yeah, someone says they're going to get back at you, and then all of a sudden, that to me was a little peculiar. I don't know.
I think maybe she was just hanging on to, the author was just like hoping that, just her fact that the character just needs to be validated and needs to be, that hunger for friendship, like you said, just kind of took her away. And, I really think that was basically the reason why she didn't question it, is just because, she was just hungry for friendship at that point because she was made fun of and teased her whole freaking life. Ash Hart's books, honestly, the last event was way worse than I thought it was going to be. So traumatizing and horrible. I just felt my heart breaking. Who wouldn't be completely traumatized by that? Yeah, seriously.
So I know, do you want to dive into the next spoiler with the
Huh?
You're nodding. I'm like, you go for this. You tell them.
Oh no, I do want to like dive right in because honestly, when I read this spoiler before we start talking about it, I just want to know my reaction. I had to pick my jaw up off the ground. At that time I was listening to the audiobook because I was doing stuff around the house, and I actually had to stop what I was doing because I needed to pay attention to what was happening. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? No way. There's no way that my luck is this bad. No way.
No, see, I figured it out very early on. I knew this spoiler. I saw I just, maybe it's because you were listening to the audio and I was reading it, but I was very aware of the fact the second, this was in one of the first 2 chapters here, when she goes to type in the girl's name and she says the name, she never says the name. And then there's a part where Rex is talking about the loves of his life or whatever. And he always calls Sydney by her name. She's always right. And then within one sentence, he says my ex. And that was when I'm like, okay.
My ex or Frankie's mom or something like that. Yeah.
And so when he was deliberately talking about Sydney and then he deliberately did not say the other name as the writer kind of penned it, that was my confirmation of it's coming. I knew very quickly that that girl was going to come back because she never had a name in either story.
Right.
It was kind of obvious to me because again, there was like 10 people in this entire town. I mean, there's nobody else in the story, so I mean, it had to be the same person. I mean, there's only so many truly awful human beings, and in a population that small,
Right.
back around. So to me, I knew that one, but I didn't know how it was going to manifest. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I didn't know when she was going to peek her little head into the book there. But I saw that one coming because I felt like there were clues packed in, but you had to kind of be looking for them. And again, maybe it's because I've read so many of these books at this point that there's a pattern to them. I don't know, but
I knew they were two different people. I knew that, you know, Frankie's mom and then the love of his life, Sydney, were two different women. I was like, I know that. I know automatically. I was hoping that it wouldn't be true because honestly, my luck is that bad. Honestly, if I was in that situation, I was like, of course it is. Why not? You know? So I'm just going to go out and say it. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off this spoiler. So the friend that traumatized Rynna her whole life and actually set up everything, you know, with this guy, Aaron, her name is Janelle. And that actually turns out to be Rex's ex, not even ex because they're still married. That's another spoiler. And then Frankie's mom. So yeah, I was just flabbergasted.
So this is where I really fell in love with her character and I related to her really hard, was when she wasn't sure how to proceed with her relationship, not so much because of him or the situation or anything else, but because she didn't want that person in her life, because she said, this is Frankie's mom. She's going to be in the picture. I don't want to have to see her every day. This is the girl who made my life absolutely miserable for years, and I don't know how to see her on a regular basis. Like, if she comes to pick up Frankie, I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to cope or deal with that because I don't want to see her face. I don't want to be able to I don't want to interact with her. And that was a big moment, and that was a big issue for their relationship. But I thought that was really important to understand, and I really picked up on that. I loved how she was saying, this is the reason, and it had nothing to do with him, but at the same time, but he didn't seem to get that right away. He thought she kind of threw away the relationship. He wasn't looking at it from the person of trauma.
Right.
I mean, even though he himself was traumatized, he wasn't looking at it from her perspective, at least until his friend kind of said, wait a second, go back there.
Right, exactly. And even like she didn't tell him right away either. She if I'm remembering correctly, he like kind of figured it out because she didn't, you know, when she opens the door and Janelle is standing there after, you know, their wonderful night together, and she just kind of runs. She's like, bye. And she, you know, just takes off. And so it was kind of like she didn't come clean about why she really was running from the relationship so far. So he
knew they said each other's names, so he knew that they knew each other. And the fact that he himself calls her every name in the book, he hates her. He has no fondness, no love, no nothing. And so I think he should have figured it out a little bit sooner, or been aware that she was probably, you know, impeding I don't know. I think there should have been a moment where he realized, okay, something happened here. And then when, you know, he did put the puzzle pieces together eventually. But I mean, he himself was saying she was manipulative, evil. Everyone was calling her cruel. Nobody said anything nice about her. They all knew this woman. And so, I mean, I think he was a little unfair. And so this was something I did find in the Goodreads review. Did they or didn't they, when he and Rynna were kind of in the question mark phase? And she's making a face.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, did they or didn't they? And honestly, yeah, I couldn't believe that he allowed her to stay at his house. I couldn't believe that. I'm like, are you kidding me? You hate this woman and you're going to let her stay in your house? No, that's not okay.
And then he left her alone in the house. He didn't just leave her in the house. He left her alone in the house.
Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm good. And Ash Hart's books, I have to say, I really didn't see it coming either. Thank you. But it does make sense for their two stories to come together. But man, does poor Rynna have awful luck. Yeah, seriously.
I think part of the reason I picked up on it is because I read a very similar book, and I don't mean this as a dig to the writing or something, but it had to do with their parents having a history. So I think her mother or his father, I forget, you know, the parental roles here, but one of the parents, they were both talking about an incident, an accident. And so when I was like, okay, it's the same one. And so again, this kind of set me up to pick that up in this book. It was like, yes, the same car accident that destroyed your life also destroyed his. And so very similar narrative in that type of writing style. It don't mean that all books are similar, but I think because I just read the other one, whose name I cannot even remember because apparently it was just that memorable. Goodreads. Obviously, I gave it 5 stars if I can't remember the title. But I just read something very similar, and so that was why my mind was going down that road. So yes, hi Puffy. I know you're down there.
Like, yes, yeah. And I don't know if you heard, but like I was like hearing knocking against the door of the bedroom that I'm in, and like the dogs are playing around out there and they're just like throwing each other like against the wall. So I'm like, I hope that they're okay out there. Hi, Max.
Hi, little puppy. I know so I made him his own Instagram. I said this morning, I said he's probably going to crash the live stream. It was accurate. We knew that was going to happen. Hi.
He always does, and I love it. Hi, Max.
Not okay. She could find a hotel to stay in. She didn't need to stay in the house. Yes. And apparently he had money. So, I mean, if you really hate someone, I mean, that would be a wise investment to just get them out of your house or your life for a little while. Just putting that out there.
Exactly. I totally agree. She did not need to stay at the house. No. Especially because you don't trust her. You hate her. What are you even thinking right now?
Yeah. That was one of those moments where I had to go make myself a cup of tea to just kind of get away from the book for a second because I read it in one sitting. But that was one of those moments where I just needed to kind of take a little break.
Yeah. Make yourself a cup of tea. It's like, I need to calm down. Woo!
I was like, I have all my notes. I'm like, what else do we want to talk about specifically? So did they or didn't they? We didn't talk about that. That was on my little notes because there's a debate on Goodreads. And I want to go with they didn't because he was very quickly back at Rynna.
Yeah. That's okay. Say it however you want. I know who you're talking about. But yes, because honestly, like the whole scene where she's like, let me make it better. Sorry, my dogs are barking. Sorry. There's someone walking in front of my house. But, oh man, they're going crazy. Can you hear them? Yeah. Man.
Hey, I mean, I'm usually apologizing for Max, so I am not holding this against you whatsoever.
I have 3 dogs, so it's tremendously louder. I'm so sorry. But anyway, so the whole scene where she's like, let me make it all better, and then she starts like touching him. I'm like, get your grubby hands off of him. And I don't think they did, no, because he immediately next scene he's at Rynna's house, and I'm just like, you better not. I tell you right now.
I'm curious if you guys in the comment section did they or didn't they? Because I don't think they did. Because
I don't think they did either.
I mean, he hates this woman with a vehement vehemence there. He's not a fan. I mean, I can't really see that, especially because he's already dating Rynna. I mean, I don't think they did. And I know that the author kind of left it a little bit of a cliffhanger, so it's your interpretation. Kind of it's one of those kind of goosebump situations where you get to fill in a little narrative yourself, like which route do you want to take? And so I think the route I'm taking is they didn't. Otherwise, I would knock a star off this very, very quickly. Because I don't like the other woman's storyline. That bugs me. And apparently it bugs a lot of people on Goodreads.
Yeah.
They were yelling at the author that he was still married. So they were calling him a cheater. A lot of people mad about the still being married, not filing the divorce papers. A lot of people mad about that.
I was kind of a little peeved, when I read that too. And I was just like, yeah, she's been gone for 3 years. Why didn't you sign the divorce papers? And I get it, like his mom instilled like a really strong sense of loyalty, like he made a commitment, blah blah blah.
I hate her though, so I don't really buy that.
No, I'm like 3 years. No, I don't buy that either. No.
I also throw one other thing out there that's bugging the crap out of me. Okay, so Rynna typed in the girl's name, and at the time we didn't know the girl's name. She types it into Facebook and finds her instantly. She knows exactly where she's living, but then according to Rex there, she went AWOL. He has no idea where she is.
Right.
What? I'm sorry. That makes no sense. You could file those papers. I did not understand. I was so confused.
Honestly, it's like, leave it to the woman, like, to find stuff out. Like, do not, that was so funny. But very, very true. Very true.
Yeah, I mean, he could find the address to send the divorce papers. It would not exactly have been that hard if she's on Facebook with her location posted for the world.
That's very true. Oh my gosh.
I'm throwing that out there because that was part of why Rynna was able to go back, because the quote-unquote girl wasn't there. She knew who she was. And this is from a simple Facebook, Google search. And here's the woman, mother of his child, not really sure if he wanted to divorce her because of that whole loyalty thing. At the same time, he had that option. He can't say he didn't know where she was, even though he said a number of times that he couldn't find her. She, left their lives. You're nodding. I mean, this is a plot hole, I think, a little bit.
It's a very, easy, twisty, turny way to, predicament you find yourself in, but never underestimate the ability for a woman to find stuff out. But, but yeah, definitely a little Facebook search, you could have found her, it's not even, Ash, Danielle said something. Danielle, hi, I need to finish reading the book. I have not finished it. Don't worry about giving spoilers. I don't mind. Awesome. Glad to have you back. I hope you made it home or wherever you were going. And Ash Hart's books, she also thinks they didn't do it. I don't think they did personally. I just don't see it happening. I was a little bit confused why he didn't sign the divorce papers. 1 year maybe, but 3 years later seems like he would get over his sense of loyalty and sign the papers. Thank you. Yes, I totally agree.
There's that GIF of Christina Aguilera with her hand up and she's going, preach. Yes.
Preach. Yes, absolutely.
That is the GIF I would send you if YouTube let us send GIFs like this. That's what I
Yeah, definitely.
Oh my goodness. So kind of talking about the loves of Rex's life, we want to talk about Sydney for a minute?
We can talk about Sydney for a minute.
So here's the thing. I know you married your high school sweetheart, but you are the exception to every rule. You are the exception. And I mean, you really are. And so I think part of this Sydney relationship is probably romanticized or idealized because he was with her for 6 months. They were in high school and they never really went through anything together. There was no big events. There was no nothing. They weren't even out publicly, so they had to date in secret. So even if they're friends, there was no friend group involved. There was no external variables to influence them. I don't know if they would have been together long term. I think part of the whole situation here is guilt and then having romanticized, idealized, rose-colored glasses view of Sydney. I don't know how everyone else feels. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, you took the words out of my thoughts and like said them, because honestly, I think the feelings, obviously, I did marry my high school sweetheart, yay, love of my life. And honestly, yeah, that is the, it's the exception, not the rule, kind of thing. And honestly, if she didn't die, or if she wasn't taken, or something, something tragic happened to her and they never found her, if that didn't happen, would they have lasted? Probably not.
Because I think part of it has to do with him feeling guilty that he was part of what drove her away to the situation where whatever happened. Again, we don't actually know what happened. There's no, I don't know, what's the phrase? Not denouement or conclusion. There's no little, nice bow to wrap it up. And so we don't know what happened to Sydney. We just question mark. But I really think it was the situation itself more so than Sydney as a character, a woman in his life. I really don't think they would have ended up together, because if you're not even comfortable telling your friends or her brother or something, there's an issue with that. There's something there to just, unpack and de-black box, and you're nodding your head.
Yeah, even years later, after, like this whole tragic thing happened that kind of bound them together, he still didn't tell her or tell him, like her brother. And what was his name? The brother, his friend?
Was he Kyle?
It started with a G, I thought. I don't know. Ollie. So sorry. But yeah, and it's like even years later, after, all of this happened, he still didn't come clean about being in a relationship with her for 6 months, even though they were trying to hide it at that point. But after all this happened, you would think he would come clean that he quote unquote loved her and that he carried and harbored all this guilt. Like, why wouldn't you come clean to your friend if it was truly something that mattered to you that much? I mean, obviously, I don't want to make light of the situation. What happened was very terrible. And I just don't understand his reasoning for not coming clean to the brother. I don't get it.
Ollie. It was Ollie. And I looked up the other name. It was Kale. I knew it was a name that I didn't see too often. All of these are names that you don't see too often.
Which I like. I like, though.
I don't know what it is about romance novels with wanting the unique name.
Yeah. Ash Hart's books, I really wanted to know what happened to her. Can we get a romantic thriller that tells Sydney's story?
But there's no happy ending. I mean, unless, you know, she was taken and she gets her way out, or she falls in love with her captor and it's one of those stories. We don't know.
Oh, like Stockholm Syndrome. And she just never came back.
I've read, so this is total tangent digression. I've been trying to periodically read all of the subgenres for romance for my projects so that I could be able to dissect them. And then when people have that issue with the stigma, I can combat it and say, okay, yes, I read this and I understand this perspective, but XYZ. So I've been reading all the subgenres. The dark ones are so dark, and that's really not my preference, but I've had to read them for my project. And oh my goodness, the Stockholm Syndrome is a real thing in romance genre. This is legit. I could kind of see that being Sydney's story.
That's, very true. And I've also read, a few of those darker romance things. And yeah, honestly, it's kind of like, ooh, you kind of like, do that face. But yeah, definitely.
After, because I usually read before I go to bed. Some of them, bad idea. I was not going to sleep.
You're like, don't do it. Ash Hart's books, I just need closure, I think. Yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot of things that happen in here that, maybe.
It is a series. So the next book is Kale and Hope, I think. And I forgot who Hope was for the longest time until I had to go back. Because there were the two girls, Nikki, and then, was it Hope?
Her friends. Yeah. That she made at the, I was like, Angela, I was like, who's Hope?
So Kale and Hope are next in the series. So if you guys really liked this book and you want to keep reading A.L. Jackson, it is part of the series. So
I do. I want to keep reading. So hopefully, maybe we get our closure then. Because honestly, even at the end of this book, did Rex even come clean to Ollie even after that? Because I know something happened in the bar where Ollie was like, "What do you mean? Like you feel guilty, or what do you mean?" Something happened that brought up the sister, and he still didn't come clean after that. He didn't tell him that he loved his sister, and so maybe he does later. Another kind of mystery.
I have to admit, I think there is more to the Sydney story that can get unpacked. I really do. I agree with it. I agree with this entire conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe, maybe the other books hold the key to the closure that we need.
I'm looking down at my notes, like, what else did I want to talk about tonight? I mean, there's so much to this book that we can talk about. This really lends itself to a book discussion. I'm curious what you guys want to talk about. If there's something on your minds that's just eating you up, if there was a part of the story that you want to talk about, a character, a situation, just use that comment box and type away. I want to know what you want to, we can talk about whatever you want. I was looking down at my notes.
Yes, we can talk about whatever. Ash Hart's books, I definitely need to keep reading. Who is Hope? Did we meet her in this book? Yeah, like Angela said, she was the friend. Nikki and Hope were the two girls that met her when she was cleaning up her grandma's diner, Pepper's Pies. And they kind of really befriended her, and they went out and had a great time at the club.
I found my next note. So there's a couple of things here. So I think there's a history with violence in this particular book against Rynna. So we have her attacked, or really I think it was attacked. So we have the guy at the bar, and then the same guy propositions her at the bank, and then he breaks her home, tries to attack, rape, kill her. And I hear your dog.
Yeah, I was just like, my dogs are barking.
Yeah, so, and then here's the reason why I bring this up. This was what pushed Rex over the edge to
so sorry. So sorry.
Like the catalyst in their relationship. He had to protect her, and he realized he didn't want anything to hurt her. And so what do you guys think of this? I know Nicole has to go deal with the dogs. So I'm asking you what you guys think. This was a situation that kind of prompted Rex to A, get involved with her in the first place, sticking up for her in the bar, and then B, when the guy attacks her, you know, he's looking at her house. I mean, perfect timing, you know, coincidence. We love those in romance novels and books in general, coincidence. So he sees the guy, you know, pounding on the door. He sees the guy, you know, go in, break in, attack. And so that's where he realizes, I don't want anything to happen to her. And now I'm going to pursue a relationship. Very strange circumstances to me. I get that proved she was important to him, but almost, I mean, weird situation to make him, because, yeah.
Yeah, definitely some, oh gosh, I was like, is every guy a dill hole in this town? Like, seriously? Because, yeah, that guy at the bar ended up being the guy at the bank that she wanted to get the loan from. I don't even know his name.
There's 10 people in this town. It's literally the same thing.
And I'm just like, seriously, as like all these things were happening, I was like, no one's luck is this bad. This is ridiculous. But yeah, like this guy, like, I'm reading this, like, honestly, do guys still do this? Like, not take no for an answer. And then she holds, like, they hold what she wants over their head. Like, oh, you have to show me how much you really want it. I'm like, really? Do guys still do that? This is ridiculous. This is the 21st century, people. The bookish porcupine. Hey guys. Hi. Hello. How are you? How are you? Welcome to the live stream. Did you read the book?
Anyway, I just thought it was strange that was the catalyst for him having I think it was one of those, the setup to the realization was a little peculiar to me. And again, that was just because that same night, that was when they kind of had their first romantic quote unquote encounter, you know, being polite here. So a lot of girls who were attacked, though, you know, almost potential rape victims, probably not going to jump into bed the same night.
Probably not, no. And I understand the authors need to use that, like you said, as a catalyst to kind of get the light a fire under the male protagonist. But because he was being such a, you know, rude jerk, and it kind of instilled in him like the protective, like, tendencies where you're like, oh, I don't want anyone, you know, to hurt her, and I don't want anyone else to be with her, kind of like that alpha male syndrome thing. And so she did use it as a catalyst to, you know, like I said, light the fire.
And I was reading the comment, it says, I love this. Ash Hart spoke. I guess the author wanted to have something push Rex over the edge and into action. But I do kind of wish it was something else they made. I got my little bifocal. They're progressive, so I have to do that weird lean in because I can't see anything, so it's the near and far. So I'm leaning in to read this. But I do kind of wish it was something else that made him change his mind about the relationship. Yes, I agree with you. You, me, and Nicole all share a brain.
Yes. Like, maybe like when she brought the pie over and they had like a really touching conversation and they bonded over pie. Yeah, that would be great. I love it. Also, another reason, sorry, tangent, that made me think of Rex or Jensen Ackles playing Rex is because Dean, his character on Supernatural, loves pie. And so he loves pie too.
So we were talking about this before we started the live stream. So I tweet a lot with our Romantics at Heart Twitter account. I really want you guys engaged. I want this to be entertaining and fun and just the best experience. I mean, romance novels, there is a stigma, so let's combat this. You know, let's get together, let's have fun, let's fangirl together. You know, I really try and use the Twitter account. And so I tweeted, who would you cast as Rex? And the lovely Who Picked This Book, because that's her Twitter, you should go follow it, she's awesome. Nicole over here recommended Jensen Ackles. And guess who started engaging with our Twitter account and liked the post? Nicole, you get it?
Yeah, and I just, it was the author, A.L. Jackson, actually commented on a couple of our Twitter threads there.
Like, I would post the questions, you would answer, and then she would say, yes, Nicole. Nicole knows exactly what's going on. She loved you. You guys had a conversation.
I was sweating and fangirling so hard. I was like, oh my gosh, the author's talking to me. Oh my gosh. So yeah, she definitely loved my idea that Jensen Ackles should play Rex, because honestly, I didn't even think about the cover, but then I posted a picture of Jensen Ackles with his then baby. She was a baby at the time. And then I looked at the cover and I'm like, the guy on the cover kind of looks like Jensen Ackles. So I just thought it was perfect. And even the author was like, yes, this is perfect. Absolutely. And I was fangirling really hard.
I mean, it was so amazing to see the author commenting and interacting. And I mean, she commented back to you a couple of times because I would post these questions, you know, trying to get engagement. Nicole always, she's awesome with the Twitter. And so
You're awesome with the Twitter. What are you talking about?
you're very witty. You're very entertaining to me. And so apparently you're very entertaining to the author as well, because there are a few interactions going back and forth. And she did it on her personal account as well. And so I'm at the Romantic Hart Twitter account going, what just happened? This is so amazing. That was really cool. That was the highlight of the last couple of days, because this went on for a little bit. So lots of funness right there.
Yeah, definitely highlight like yesterday and today, highlight of my week besides this live stream that I'm having a blast on. The Bookish Porcupine, I didn't. She didn't read the book. I didn't read any books in March. I was so busy. Oh no. At least, you know, it was busy and not a reading slump, because I actually hate trying to get out of a reading slump. But if you are in a reading slump, this is a good book to start. And Lady Gizmo, whoa, that's amazing. It was so awesome. Happy for you. Yay!
I'm happy for you too. I'm really proud of you. I know we talked about this before. Nicole loves it when the authors comment back. And so whenever I see the author comment back to her, I know that there's this immense satisfaction. I'm always so happy for you. She's dancing.
I'm like, yeah.
That was so cool to me. I love that. That was just awesome. I mean, you guys, again, I'm not trying to pitch our Twitter account here, but I mean, it was happened on our Twitter account.
You should be following it. I also kind of was like, hey, we're doing a live stream discussion on this channel. You should totally check it out. We'll see if she stops by, maybe, hopefully.
That'd be really cool. Hey, Al Jackson.
I know, just pops up. Hey!
I mean, the thing is, though, we're both fans of her. We like her. And so I feel as if there would be this dead silence almost of just going, look who's here. Look.
I know. Look.
I mean, I told
you. Jackson, if you're here watching, say something.
I mean, I told you when I met Eloisa James, I was just looking at her going, you're Eloisa James. I was so fangirling. And she was the sweetest human being on the face of the earth. Like, she knew I was really nervous when I met her, and I was so excited. I'm just like, you're Eloisa James. That would totally happen with us as well, a little bit. But I mean, Eloisa is my girl. Eloisa, I love her. And then when I met Lisa Kleypas, I was just looking at her going, you're a goddess.
Yes. Seriously, I was so, when I saw those pictures on Instagram, I was so jealous.
I filmed a little video because I filmed clips before I went, and I filmed a little bit as I was there and stuff. I still haven't edited that video. At this point, it's kind of getting a little late to edit it. But
I would still watch it.
I'm so, yeah, I mean, I don't know who's going to be at RWA this summer. I would love to see Eloisa again. That'd be so cool.
That would be amazing.
Remember me, but it would be still cool to see her again.
She would totally remember you. She's awesome.
Well, next week, I'm actually going to be at a romance conference for academics, which I'm super excited about. And the special guest is Beverly Jenkins, who I met.
Oh my gosh.
I had my paper, I had my books by her. I was putting them aside to put in the suitcase, I gotta bring these, gotta get these signed. It's gonna happen.
Oh my gosh. I've been looking for, I printed out, like, she has a printable list of all the books she's ever, published on her website. And I printed it out. I was like, I have to get all of these books. I have to get all of them.
she's phenomenal. If you guys haven't read Beverly Jenkins, you guys should look into her. I mean, I was trying to think maybe I should put her on. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what my book choices are for tonight. I told Nicole, I was like, these are the two I want. And then I changed my mind because I wasn't sure if you guys wanted a contemporary book or not. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But yeah, Beverly Jenkins, add her to your TV read list. Gotta add her. That's happening.
Yeah, definitely. What look at your notes. What other are we going to talk about?
Do you have any
notes? No, I don't actually. I came wholly unprepared.
I mean,
here you are carrying me like you always do. She's wonderful. I feel like I'm so, she is on top of everything with our book club here. And she's always, posting on our Twitter account. She's on the Goodreads. And I'm like, I feel like I'm a sloth. I don't do anything.
Again, I really love the romance genre. And this is something I'm so passionate about. And then I think part of my interest is that because I'm studying it and I'm seeing all the negative things, every time I see something negative, I want to do something positive. So
Yeah.
I was reading a journal article, and I'm not going to talk about the journal article because I disagree with this guy on every single count in front. He was a men's studies professor. He did not understand a lot of
Men's
things.
studies, that's a thing.
Imagine a men's studies professor analyzing the romance genre, saying, "Oh, men are sexualized," and I'm going, because that doesn't happen to women in every other genre, situation, industry, I did not enjoy this article. And every time I would read a paragraph, I would go on our Twitter account and I ended up posting the poll, and people, I think, responded to that. I was trying to just, every time I was reading something negative, I would go try and do something positive, put goodness out in the world, be the light, do what you wish other people were doing.
You are a light. I love that. And honestly, now I want to read this article so I can just, do the same thing, because honestly, no. You're like, I want to say, like, a men's study professor writing an article about the romance genre. I feel like, I'm sorry, your opinion doesn't count.
And so even, here's the other thing too. Again, I'm trying to view the romance genre as an academic. There's a lot of academic articles that are just so negative. Even the ones that are supposed to be groundbreaking for the genre. There's this really influential book called Reading the Romance by, her last name's Radway. It came out in 1984, I believe. And she talks about, you can kind of see her bias seep into the book. She talks about how romance readers, it's kind of like a drug, and it becomes an obsession, and you get drugged into submission. And I'm going, okay, wow. Is this your academic professional opinion? Is this bias? When I read that, I was very, very taken aback, because here's this book, people cite it all the time whenever there's a journal article about romance. And when I read that line, I'm going, are we sure we want to keep citing this book as something completely positive? Because not only is her methodology flawed, but some of these commentaries not exactly on the mark.
Oh, wow.
There's another one. There's so many, because I have all my books over there. I can always just grab them and show you. There are a few of them that are supposed to be influential for academic studies of romance genre that are just, yeah.
Probably shouldn't be.
Not that they shouldn't be. It's just, you can tell which camp they belong to, of romance positive, romance negative. A lot of academics viewing romance as negative.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Ash Hart's books. I haven't read one of Beverly Jenkins yet, but I have to get to one soon. I adore historical romance. Same. I do too. I really love the historical romance genre. And like, Angela said, Eloisa James and Lisa Kleypas, they are two queens, of that genre. I love their writing of that genre. And Angela's getting something.
I know. I found the positive books. I'm trying to find the bad one to stay away from.
Okay.
Trying to find it, because I have all my books over here. Keep talking, so I'm not on screen.
Yeah, when you do the live stream, if one person continues to talk, it's just their face that's showing. As soon as the other person starts talking, their stuff comes up. So she's not in her chair right now. So what should we talk about, guys?
I can't find it. I'm not finding it, but these ones are my favorites. For positive romance stuff, these are my favorites, especially this one. Dangerous Men and Adventurous Women. This is one of my favorite academic books. If you guys are actually interested in studying the romance genre, this is my favorite. I'm not really sure how accessible it is. I had to kind of find it on Amazon. I don't think it's cheap. I'm not sure if there's an ebook copy. This book, love it.
Type it in the chat. Type it in the chat.
Yeah, because it's by romance writers, and so right off the bat, romance writers understand the genre. They have an appreciation from it, and so love this one.
Absolutely.
The book
I'll definitely have to read that one. Yeah.
This one is a bit more academic, but it still validates the genre, which is important.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to look that one up. Maras says, I really feel bad when people look down on romance. Yeah, it's it's that stigma that Angela, is so great about talking about. And honestly, and even like in my own life, I'm sure everyone who reads the romance genre, they have felt some sort of the stigma once, like either going to the store and buying a romance book or reading a romance book in public, that kind of stigma where he's like, you don't really want to know, or you really don't want other people to know what you're reading just because you don't want them to be like, oh, you're reading one of those books. Or, Angela, when we were discussing when you're asking me the questions about, and you said, have you ever had a cashier or something, someone at the store say, oh, you read this book, you know, oh, really, this book? And I said I hadn't. Seriously, 2 days later, I'm at Goodwill and I'm buying books, and I bought a bunch of different romances. Some were, you know, some were the erotic subgenre, some were historical, and some were one series that I found was a Christian romance. And so I'm cashing out, and the cashier, and obviously the, you know, one of the erotic ones, they have, you know, the quote unquote, like, bodice ripper, you know, cover that's on there. And she said to me, she's like, are these one of those romance books? And I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. These are all, and I pointed out to all the books. I was like, all of these books are actually a part of the romance genre. And yeah, go ahead and talk so they can see.
Oh, so I have all my books over on my lower shelf. I have all my little bodice rippers in a row. So yes, apparently her book looks very similar to this one.
Yes, it did. And, you know, or it has like the shirtless man on the cover with his, you know, 8-pack.
I have all of them in a row, so I can just keep grabbing these all night.
That's awesome. So, you know, she said, she's like, oh, are these those romance books? And I'm like, yeah, all of these are actually a part of the romance genre. And she's like, aren't they a little, you know, and she goes like, kind of trails off like the ... And I provide the word. I was like, risque, is that what the word that you're looking for? Or like, you know, smutty. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, some can be, yes, but, you know, and then I pointed out